A sense of belonging is fundamental to well-being, so my spirit says. As a multiracial woman in academia, I experience my identities somewhat compartmentally. In some spaces, I felt that my affiliation with others was predicated upon the recognition of my status as undervalued and outnumbered. In other spaces, I felt that side eye, that look that says, don't get comfortable. You are undervalued and outnumbered. I haven't said a word yet, mind you. It's just a look at me. This dynamic sounds maddening when described in this way, and it could have been. I sought and found spiritual comfort through awareness. In order for me to survive and thrive professionally, I would need to honor my spiritual and relational need for belonging. I would need to align myself with academic settings that embrace multicultural ideology. I believe I did just that. During the final years of my graduate training, I taught courses for my department, in part because it supported my training goals. I knew then that I wanted to be a teacher. In part because I could earn some extra money, but mostly because I absolutely love teaching students. I just love it. One term, I was teaching a culture and psychology course. In this class, we examine lots of topics related to diversity and multiculturalism, but in particular, we focused on the integrity of research methodology in studying behavior. Are we really studying the authentic individuals in diverse societies, or are we studying them through our own lens? I often stopped by the student service building en route to class because it's on the way and because the cafe has amazing coffee. While waiting for the coffee one afternoon, I spied a flyer on the bulletin board. When I saw the flyer, I was at first confused. Global Mixed Race Conference being held in the coming weeks in the student service building? How did I not hear about that? The attached feeling I had? Pride. I knew my university had it in them. I made some inquiries and accessed the program booklet. Who was organizing this? Who was the keynote speaker? What are the research topics? You would have thought I'd found the original chocolate factory and scheduled to meet Willy Wonka. I just got so excited. I just got so excited for my students. There were various panel discussions on the multiracial experience in education. There were talks on multiracial identity and love relationships. There were topics about mixed race history, panels about colonialism, and numerous roundtables about this intersection of methodology and integrity that I'm teaching about in my class. There was one talk on a mixed method panel entitled Hip Hop, a Tool for to Advance and Oppose White Supremacy and the Anti-Blackness of Mixed Race Theory. After reviewing the list of amazing research topics and speakers, I did that thing I do. I considered how this conference would serve to support the learning goals of my students. I put down for a minute my personal and professional excitement about identifying with the conference and the list of topics that defined who I was as a person and the issues that I had struggled with my whole life. I put all that down and I focused on the impact that the topics and the holistic experience would have on my students. We discussed the timing of the various panels and found a few panel discussions that were being held at the same time as our Thursday meeting time. We discussed the topics in relation to our course material and their relevance to our course themes and subject matter. And in particular, the impact of methodology through monocultural versus multicultural lenses. We were prepared, we had a plan, we were excited. The decision was final. In the coming weeks, we were going on a field trip down the street, half a block and kitty corner to the Student Service Building for this global mixed race conference to attend a few panel discussions. The first day of this 3-day conference was scheduled for the Thursday we'd agreed upon, so that really worked. That day, I decided to go to the conference early, before class, in order to experience it for myself. I was actually really excited. And to get a lay of the land so that my students would have a decent guide and not get too distracted by the novelty of the experience. I left my department and walked a block toward the conference. Already my stomach hurts. I was nervous for some reason. But as I get closer to the Student Service Building, my steps begin to quicken, and I'm seeing people entering and leaving the building. I'm starting to see people, and I'm honest, lots of women who look so much like me. And then it happened. I'm looking at this bi-level, crowded space, and for the first time in my 30-something years, I look around and I'm in the company of hundreds of mixed race academics and people of color. I was in the company of people who care about the well-being of mixed race people, who think about the well-being of mixed race people. I was in the company of people whose research focused on the experience of mixed race people. It blew my mind. I understood so much in that moment that mixed race identity matters, that it's a shared experience globally, in the community, in this space, and it has value. I understood that opportunities for authentic connections were grounded in being all of yourself. And in that moment, as an academic, as a woman, as a mixed race person, who had interest in all that the conference had to offer in terms of topics and materials, I felt that sense of being all of myself, of taking off masks, of not having to just fit in, but to feel a sense of connection at many levels. I understood that transformative action can take many forms. This action that was taken by so many with diverse interests and diverse power to put on and focus on, mixed race populations. And that this conference could touch me in such deep and meaningful ways. I experienced then that sense of belonging, and it was transformative. Now, mind you, my students were coming, right? And I felt really the culmination of this experience through my identity as a teacher. Hours later, when I shared this conference with my students and saw their reactions and the ways and in so many ways, I saw myself in them. My students walking through the building, passing through groups of people of color from all over the globe, shared goals and values, honoring the narratives that had shaped their intersectionality. For my students, this event transmitted the valuing of mixed race people. And as an exercise, the field trip was the personification of multiculturalism. This valuing of history, this appreciation for the contemporary experience. And this event, this field trip, facilitated a culturally diverse educational experience for them. For me as an instructor, I felt like in this field trip, I had more to offer than just theoretical ideas about what it means to embrace diversity and, planning what could be. I had an example of systems that cultivated diversity and celebrated the life of diverse people. I could share a wholeness of humanity with them in that event. The experience of belonging is personal for me. It's about being present and open and proud of my authentic self in a space, in a collective. Belonging for me reinforces my sense of worth and value within a group. And it extends beyond a sense of surface connection and goes deeper to a shared history, a shared experience, a shared interest. And for me, this feeling of connection at multiple levels allowed me to then give and share with others, and to not only feel valuable, but also extend value to others and expand the energy of mattering with my students.